AMAC gives you what the mainstream media won't, the truth. But most importantly, AMAC has your back and mine on Capitol Hill. With over 2 million freedom-loving members, AMAC is a voice for conservatives that cannot be ignored. And remember, the great discounts and benefits. Stand with me and over 2 million constitutional conservatives by joining today at amac.us. That's AMAC.us, amac.us.
Any longer due to the cancel culture. Well, Mike Lindell is now passing along those savings directly to you. Right now, you can get the lowest price in the history of MyPillow for their classic standard MyPillow, regularly $69.98, now only $19.98 with promo code Dobbs. They also have queen-size pillows, regularly $79.98. Now $24.98 with promo code Dobbs. MyPillow is not just pillows. They have over 150 products, everything from sleepwear to beds. And my promo code Dobbs also works on mystore.com and frankspeech.com. Go to 1-800-977-9152 and use promo code Dobbs to take advantage of Mike's special offer on his standard MyPillow. That's mypillow.com, promo code Dobbs, or 1-800-977-9152.
Off the backs of the finest sheep in the world. Beautiful wool carpeting. Selected brands and styles on sale until December 30th. Those sheep are headed back to Sacramento to show off their fluff.
Sheep are good, but Shaw Mark's Anything Goes carpet sale continues until December 7th with a variety of styles and patterns, and rest assured your purchase is backed by an industry-leading warranty. Come in and browse to find the best carpeting for your home. Waldo Bowers Floor Covering, 2300 Broadway, Sacramento. Excellent customer service, professional installation, affordable prices. Why would you go anywhere else? 0% financing is available on approved credit. Waldo Bowers. Like us on Facebook. Online at waldobowersfloorcovering.com or call 916-451-0114. 916-451-0114.
That won't meet you face-to-face or diagnose your unique needs. So I want to tell you about Revive Men's Health, a group of healthcare professionals who for the last 10 years have specialized in treating low T and ED. Revive will do a comprehensive health assessment, require blood tests, listen to you, and meet your needs with effective, safe treatments for low T and ED that go beyond what pills can do on their own. Revive Men's Health specializes in custom treatments for men. So what are you waiting for? It's time to rethink your approach to ED and low T. To celebrate 10 years of helping improve the lives of men, Revive Men's Health is offering initial consultations for just $49. Call 916-277-8599 to schedule a personalized and confidential consultation today for just $49. That's 916-277-8599 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
But if you really want to make this the best holiday ever, ask her already. What's more romantic than a holiday proposal? Come to Shane Company to see our amazing selection of unique engagement rings, crafted to last forever. Our warranty is free for a lifetime, and it even covers the center stone. No matter your budget, we'll help you create the perfect ring. We also have rings already set with a center stone, ready to go. And let's talk about center stones. All of our diamonds are conflict-free and natural, handpicked for their beauty. And Tom Shane personally selects our rubies and sapphires in Bangkok. We have so many center stones to choose from. Plus, we're a direct importer, which means we pass the savings on to you. All right, guys, make it happen.
Book a virtual or an in-store appointment with a non-commissioned jewelry consultant, or just drop by the store. Check the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Not licensed in all 50 states, including New York. Visit kcom.com for licensing terms and restrictions.
As a home buyer, you've shopped endlessly for your dream home. But have you shopped for the right lender? The fact is, customers who ditch their existing lender for Cake Mortgage save an average of $4,500. That's right, $4,500 that you can use to furnish your home and cover your moving expenses. Not only that, we can often close your loan in as little as 14 days. So whether you're on the hunt for the right mortgage lender or already deep in the loan process, don't make a decision until you call Cake. We're so confident we can beat your current offer that we'll pay you $1,000 for your time, even if we can't give you the best deal. It pays to call Cake. Get started now. Call 877-818-2253 for the lowest rates, lower costs, and a stress-free experience. Again, that's 877-818-CAKE or visit CakeHome.com to get started.
It's at 2 a.m.
I kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually talked to an actual person. in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. I had to go in and come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C Sports. This is Charlton with Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to people who love sports. It's all fair and love of war. What a beautiful day today. Is the December the 3rd, 2021. As we say, welcome to the show. As we nominated the Big C Sports Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports all around the world on 18 podcast applications all over the universe. Really appreciate that. You can simply pick up your smart device or your cell phone and go say, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will find us all over the world on 18 podcast applications from Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeart-Radio-Podcast, CastBox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, and also a Pod Chaser, and that's the moment where I gotta catch my breath. But give me some praise for catching my breath and being able to count to 10. That's all fair. And love of war. You can also follow Big C Sports on Geo Savan Podcast out of London, England, Podtail Podcast, YouTube Podcast, Hubhopper Podcast, Stitcher, Radio Online, Repod Podcast, as well as Luminary Podcast. And then there are 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. So give that some praise. I said, give that some praise. I can count to 18. So that's a start. Now I just got to learn to get to 20. All fair level work. Love paying homage to my family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandmother called her Mama. She was a wonderful person, helped make sure everyone had food in their belly and a place to live, and make sure that everyone stuck together through thick and thin. My grandfather, great-grandfather, called on Pop, former Negro League baseball player, known for saying, boy, get out of that barn, and also making the best moonshine in the universe. I don't think you believe that's too funny, but get that praise. And then my grandmother called her Madea. She was actually a seer, very savage person, did everything possible to keep them together through thick and thin. And then also, my grandfather, Hezekiah, a very good person, always keeping the family strong. My beautiful mother helped start a Head Start program in Northern California and helped win the Little League Championship of the universe. And that's some praise. Come on, Head Start program, Northern California, also helped win the Little League Championship of the universe. Only African-American woman in the Little League system at that time, all fair and level war. On my father's side, my grandfather, called him Albert Curry, was a pastor, built 2 churches in Oakland, California, also 2 service stations, but the 3rd church in Central California, and made sure that he was a very savvy business person. And my grandmother, Alberta Curry, working hand in hand with my grandfather, making sure the family stayed strong and that there was always gas when people came to get gas, and the church was always open, all fair level work. Yeah, that's some praise too. And then when I think about it, so many times I remember, I still love the smell of gasoline. Is that crazy? Because of being around my grandfather's service station, every time I want to smell something good or clear my nasals, I just get around the gas pump. Maybe that's not the greatest thing in the world. Just don't light a match. And then my father, retired Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, making sure the planes could fly high so we could stay safe at night. And my beautiful brother, Todd, with a bombastic voice. Sound like lightning all the time when Todd was talking. My beautiful son, a Malcolm College student, is very well all into the NBA basketball, loves NBA, gives me a lot of information on NBA that I use for the shows. And my beautiful daughter, Daisy, college graduate as well, and very smart, and helping me with colleges when they come to the West Coast, getting their information. And then Big C with his wealth of knowledge. Give them all praise. All of that stuff is praise. Really appreciate. And that's why I say, welcome to the show. Love doing Big C Sports Podcast. ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. And one of the things I love saying is, let's get ready to rumble. People think that's Bruce Buffer saying that. My grandfather used to say, boy, get out of that barn before you start rumbling. Welcome to the show. ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. No scripts, no 3-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. Sometimes that's very obvious. And then I do the show with my higher self. What I love about doing Big C Sports Podcast, There's a lot of good things that are coming onto the scene with Big C Sports Podcast. And I tell you, just like lightning, just like thunder and lightning, you got to put things out there in the universe to make things happen. I produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I even do all the sound effects that are produced by the application. You know, it's like Time for School, taking pictures, is all that stuff. And then on top of that, as people get into sports, outside of the commercials that the agency does, I do the commercials on the pre-roll and also the post-roll. And then I provide the stats, like tonight over at the Chase Center in San Francisco, Steph Curry for 3! You'll hear some of that as the Warriors look to snap the Phoenix Suns winning streak is all fair and level war. And so I upload the show to the platform. It goes out to 18 multiple podcast platforms all over the world. Number 10, I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports, September 12, 2015. I love honoring God. In Genesis 13:15, there's a verse that says, "The land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever." In the book of James 4:2 said, "We have not because we ask not." So if you want something, just ask. All you got to do is ask. The answer is either yes or no, but it's no if you don't ask. Make sure you ask. And give asking some praise. We all need to ask more. Really do appreciate that. I love asking for our Veterans Crisis line. We didn't create it, but it's out there. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. And if you know any military veterans going through issues, it's not just for veterans, but it's designed for them, but it's also for them and their loved ones. I've even used it myself. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. You can get our veterans some praise. Get them some help. Give that some praise. First responders always helping everybody, but who's helping them? Also, very happy to be affiliated. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, Comcast Spotlight, Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, "Let there be light." Open your cell phones and say, "Play Big C Sports Podcast." You will see our apps pop up all over the world. And I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports Podcast. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse. Then they cover Major League Baseball whenever baseball season is around, mostly the San Francisco Giants and the teams that come over to San Francisco. Really appreciate that. If you're involved in real estate in your neck of the woods, go to nationalrealestatepost.com. That is the nationalrealestatepost.com. You can find out about what's going on in real estate in your neck of the woods. And then if you want to know what's going on with mortgages in your neck of the woods, go to mortgagenewsdaily.com. That's mortgagenewsdaily.com. Or you can simply call 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. Give that some praise. Learn what's going on in the world of real estate in your neck of the woods. My goodness, for people betting on sports, just be careful. There's people that sometimes bet more than they can afford to lose, and you don't want Guido coming looking for you, so don't do that. I also want to say this show is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% honest game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, you want to eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all in the exotic meat. Last I know, exotic meat tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hand. It's all fair and level. I really love giving out that information with all those exotic meats. People keep saying, "Man, Charlton, what is this Big C burger thing?" If you're eating something you don't really know what it is, it's probably the Big C burgers. All fair and level war. I'm going to get to a lot of sports tonight. We know there's some college conference playing their championship games tonight. The Pac-12 doing their thing down in Las Vegas. There's a lot of games happening on Saturday. FCS is also playing in Northern California. Sacramento State will be hosting South Dakota in the FCS playoffs. They started with 24 teams, and they'll go down to the championship game that will be played in Frisco, Texas. I penciled in Sacramento State and North Dakota State to reach that. But I also want to start with high school football. You know, sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. So everything gets started there, and then hopefully people get the chance to go on to college. I've been doing it for a long time. I do the Friday Night Lights, and for paying homage to the high school programs all over the country. They're doing everything they can to be successful and to try to win for their championship teams. But I also want to say I give out this PSA all the time, and I don't really get tired of it, but it's a shame that we have to keep doing it. and everybody has their own opinion about it. I ask every person, every young person, my PSA from Big C Sports, if you're going to games, please don't drink and drive, and don't let your friends drink and drive. I know sometimes people say I can do what I want to do with my car, but you got to find a way to take away the keys. I think over Thanksgiving holidays, in California alone, there were over 900 DUI arrests on one day. 900 is a lot. That's just the people who got caught. That means 900 people lost their driver's license. I believe there's at least a $10,000 fine, all because they decided to drink and get behind the wheel of a car. And unfortunately, there were fatalities too all over the country. I don't know how many more times people can say it, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, but I really want to reach out to the high schoolers. Please don't let your teammates drink and drive. Don't let your fans drink and drive. Call a parent, call Lyft, call a taxi, call Uber, whatever it is. Please be the captain of that team. Don't let anyone drink and drive. Give them some praise. If you are a first responder, you understand you respond to those things. So I'm going to give a standing ovation for everyone that takes away the keys and don't let their teammates drink and drive. I want to come up with tonight's the high school football top 10. Again, everybody around the country, for the most part, is already in their state championship brackets right now. They're playing playoffs. Number one in the country is Modern Day of Santa Ana, California. They are ranked number one. They're 11-0. They couldn't find a game with everybody, but they went out of state and beat Duncanville of Texas, which is one of the top teams in Texas, one of the top 3 teams in Texas. Actually, Modern Day is going to play Sarah High School of San Mateo. I believe it's going to be next week down in Southern California for the state championship game. And if they win that, they'll be crowned national champions. Sarah of San Mateo's ranked number 1 in the Bay Area, and they are actually tied with De La Salle between 1 and 2, depending on what poll you look at. But they're going to be playing Sarah of San Mateo. Sarah High School, that's the alma mater of Tom Brady, Barry Bonds, Lynn Swan. A lot of great athletes come out of there, but I think they'll be in over their head against Modern Day. Number 2, Westlake of Katy, Texas. Actually, Westlake of Austin, Texas. They are 13-0 on the season, and they are also in the state playoffs in Texas. Number 3, Collins Hills of Georgia. Another 13-0 program, very solid program down in the state of Georgia. Number 4, Bergen Catholic out of Ordell, New Jersey. They are 12-0, top-ranked team out of the Northeast. Number 5 is St. Francis out of Maryland, and they are 8-1, and their season completed with a win over IMG Academy out of Florida, which was the number 1 team in Florida about 2 weeks ago. So they have both completed their season. Number 6, Katy High School of Texas, another strong program down in the state of Texas. They are 10-3 on this season, and they have a really solid program, the red and white. Number 7, Servite High School of Anaheim. Their season's complete, finished 10-3. They lost 3 games to in-state and in-league rivals Modern Day twice, and also St. John Bosco of Bellflower. So they'll finish number 7 in the country. Number 8, St. John Bosco, Bellflower, California, finished the season at 10-2. Their only losses came twice they lost to Servite High School in a revenge game in the playoffs, and they also lost to Modern Day of Santa Ana, so no shame in that game. Number 9 in the country is South Lake Carroll out of Texas. They are 13-0 down there in the beautiful state of Texas. A lot of good high school programs, and so they look to try to climb the mountain and get a state championship out of the state of Texas. And then number 10 in the country in Big C's high school football top 10, I have De La Salle of Concord, California, the number 1 team in the Bay Area, Northern California, depending on who you listen to, either Sarah or De La Salle. But head-to-head, De La Salle is a much better program. Please, everybody, go out, be safe in the high school game tonight. Give all the people who take away the keys, don't let anyone drink or drive, give them some praise. I wish everybody the best, and may you have a great chance at winning your section and state championship. Now, everybody's ready for football. Not everybody, but a lot of the football games are just kind of off the charts. So many championship games that are going to be played, and this week is going to be amazing for high school football and college football. We start tonight with the Pac-12 championship, number 10 Oregon versus number 17 Utah. You might wonder, how is Utah 17 and Oregon 10? It's just rankings, because Utah just beat Oregon about 10 days ago. That was over in Utah. And tonight it's going to be a little bit different story. I'm thinking that the game's down in Las Vegas. Oregon's not going to be without their feathers like they were up in Utah when they played that game about 10 days ago. But the teams met for the first time. It was unfair to wonder how motivated the Oregon would be going into this game. But it's been a tough year for the Pac-12, realizing they had a chance to get into the college football playoffs. Had Oregon won out at Utah and then won the rest of the games, they still would have had to win tonight. So they won the last 2 Pac-12 title games. For Utah, it's a chance to renew their ability to go out and show that they deserve to be the Pac-12 champion. They've dropped them those 2 games to Oregon over the last 2 years. And so look for Utah and Oregon to play a very physical game tonight. Oregon plays a lot better when they are in a more controlled environment. Even Austin Stadium is going to be a controlled environment down in Las Vegas tonight. I'm looking for Oregon to get the win in that game and claim their 3rd Pac-12 championship in a row. We'll see what happens, but they got to go down there and do it. If they do it, then they'll get the Pac-12 championship. So give them praise. If they don't do it, then Utah will get it. I have no bet on that game. May the best team win, all fair and level war. The Big 12 championship have number 9 Baylor versus number 5 Oklahoma State. And that game, I want to make sure that the Las Vegas game is going to be, I got to mention that it's tonight, 8 o'clock p.m. tipped off already East Coast time on ABC and Fubo TV. So it's already underway. They've already started the kickoff. And if you get a look at the Oregon uniforms, you can see why a lot of kids go there. They have a lot of what they call snack, crackle, and pop. They give that to people's all fair and level war. But then for the next game, that's going to be Oklahoma State versus Baylor to decide the Big 12 champion. Is a noontime kickoff Saturday on ABC Sports. Also, Fubo TV. When these teams played the last time, it was a touchdown by Jalen Warren with 2 minutes remaining that pushed the lead out to 10 points. A second time around, the score could be even lower now that each defensive staff has a chance to relook at what they did in that first game. Oklahoma State finds a way to win the football game, in my opinion, but the Bears are well positioned to make it dangerous. I mean, they're getting 5.5 points in this game, so to me, it's just a matter of time. If you go back to the Oregon game, Oregon's favorite by, some people had on 2.5. Either way, some had Utah favorite 2.5, others had Oregon favorite 2.5. That's just how people look at it. It depends on how the cookie crumbles. I want to go to maybe the biggest game over the weekend, the SEC Championship down in Atlanta. Number 1, Georgia, taking on number 3, Alabama. And depending on who you listen to, Georgia's a 6.5-point favorite. I don't really know how you can give Alabama 6.5 points, but everybody has their own opinion. I think Alabama has a better chance to win that game than people give them credit. It's a 4 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. You can also see it on the CBS Sports app and CBSSports.com. When you think about this matchup for the Crimson Tide, I think they had their toughest game of the year against Auburn. They had to drive 97 yards, Bryce Young. I think it went to overtime, 3 overtimes, and they ended up winning that game in overtime with a Bryce Young pass. I think they played their worst game and their best game against Auburn. That's a conference rival. It's an in-state rival. A lot of emotions going on in those games, and people understand that, like the Michigan-Ohio State game and USC, UCLA, Oregon State. It all matters. Cal and Stanford, it all matters. Doesn't really matter what your record is. Teams play hard. So the Tide, the offensive line, they've been unable to run the ball and block consistently, but they've been able to win, except for the 3 turnover game they had when they lost to Texas A&M. This is about controlling the ball. I think Nick Saban watched a lot of the film when Clemson held Georgia's offense scoreless the first game of the season. Georgia had a pick 6 that won the game against Clemson. Alabama's a better team than Clemson top to bottom. Don't look at what happened with the Georgia Tech score. You got to look at the close games, and even Tennessee did okay against Georgia at a time, but Nick Saban, 7 national championships, you don't get there by not knowing how to coach. So when I think about it, this is a team that knows they can pass the ball. Alabama plays great defense. They've done it before. You got guys like Jordan Davis and the Bulldogs front 7 that's going to be very tough to run on, but not necessarily so. DJ Uiagalelei saw what happened against that Georgia defense when he played for Clemson. He and Bryce Young played in the Trinity League in high school, modern day versus St. John Bosco. I know those guys are friends. People talk. This is the same Georgia defense that Clemson lost 10-3. Okay? Alabama's a better team than Clemson. I think they'll share some stories about that, just my opinion. And rumor has it Georgia's going to try to keep Alabama in check all afternoon, which starts with trying to stop that quarterback, Bryce Young, from doing his thing, who I think will win the Heisman Trophy based on his performance against Auburn and what he may do also against Georgia. Now, Georgia countered his performance with Stetson Bennett IV and the rest of the offense's ability to dictate the style of tempo in the matchup. But I keep thinking about the Clemson and Georgia Bulldog game, not the Georgia Tech game. And it's hard for me to see Nick Saban being out-coached by someone that was under his armpits a few years ago. All fair and love and war. Should be a good game no matter what happens. It also is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all those exotic meats. And last I checked, an elephant and a bulldog are exotic meats. It's all fair and love and war. Can't wait to see that game. I'm looking at another ACC championship game that does not have the likes of Clemson. Number 21, I'm sorry, the AAC. I'm going to get to the AAC. I'm going to go right way because I want to show respect to them. To the AAC championship game, you have number 21 Houston at number 4 Cincinnati. Now that's an in-conference. I think it's going to be, in my opinion, that conference does not want to lose out on the bowl championship series, and they will do everything in their power to make sure that Cincinnati wins. Just my opinion. The Houston Cougars and the Cincinnati Bearcats is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all those exotic meats. If you think for a second that conference, the AAC, is going to somehow allow Cincinnati to lose this game, then you have a lot more insight than I have. It's a 4 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on ABC Sports. You could also see it on Fubo TV. Every time Cincinnati has been presented with a showcase opportunity, it's responded with its best performance. Cincinnati beat number 6 Notre Dame by 11 points. That was way back in the day. They also beat Indiana. Those are the two marquee wins. They also beat Tulsa by 7 points. Notre Dame's a much better team than Tulsa. Things happen. I think that Notre Dame just maybe overlooked them. Just my opinion, but give them Cincinnati credit. Also, they beat SMU by 34 points. But Houston is one of the best teams on Cincinnati's schedule. They haven't lost since they lost to Texas Tech the first game of the year. I think they're going to keep the game close, but there's no way that the Bearcats won't advance and win the AAC championship. They're favored by 10.5 points. I don't know if they'll win by 10.5. They might win by 14 because there's no way that conference is going to lose out on the pie that's waiting for them at the end of the season. The Big Ten championship game, number 2 Michigan versus number 13 Iowa, and Michigan's favored by 11. I'm not buying the 11. I'm buying that they'll win, but not by 11. They still got to get back down to earth from the win over Ohio State, and that was at home. If Michigan wears their all blue uniforms, they might just win the game, and they'll win anyway. But I don't know if they're going to cover. It's 8 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports and Fubo TV. It's hard to go against Michigan and Harbaugh. Not that they haven't lost. They lost the game to Michigan State that they should have won. Michigan State came back and won it. I have a lot of respect for Iowa Hawkeyes. They were at one time ranked number 2 in the country, and then they lost because they're college kids. Michigan has won. Iowa does not. Given Iowa's inability to move the ball this year, it's hard for me to buy into the idea that they're going to find a way to run against a team that Ohio State could barely muster yards against. Michigan has turned the ball over only 9 times all year. Only 5 teams in the country have fewer. I'm going to go with the maize in blue, and Michigan's going to win. I won't give them 10.5, but I'll say they'll probably win by 9 points in that game. It should be a great environment for Michigan and Iowa. Now, the ACC championship. This goes back to Clemson being out for the first time in many, many moons. Number 15, Pittsburgh, and number 16, Wake Forest. Clemson did not win the ACC, but they held Georgia without an offensive score. I know that's going back to week 1, but that's the film that Nick Saban has to watch over and over and over again to see how do they do it. And Alabama's a better team than Clemson. So it's just a thought. It's just a thought, though. But when you look at this game and the point spread, Pitt's favored by 3.5. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on ABC Sports. And obviously people look at Pittsburgh because they're maybe more talented. Kenny Pickett has the edge at quarterback, and the Panthers have been better. And he's also up in the talk for a Heisman Trophy. On the defensive side of the ball, there's something special about what the Demon Deacons have done this year, coming out of the abyss for football. I think this better prepares them for a high-scoring game and maybe a shootout game. I'm going to go, just my opinion, Pittsburgh has a better quarterback, and I'm going to go with them to win the ACC Championship. It's all fair and level war. There's a lot of things going on in college football that everyone has to keep their eyes wrapped around. It's called Championship Weekend for the college conferences. Also, of note, in the Pac-12, USC and Cal Berkeley, they're playing a game on Saturday, and they had their game earlier in the year postponed because there was an outbreak of COVID at Cal Berkeley for their football team. So they had to reschedule that game, and they're going to play that on Saturday, December the 4th. So you got to get your head wrapped around that as well for what's going to happen in the world of college football. Not that it's going to affect the bowl rankings and ramifications of anyone, but it is a chance for Lincoln Riley to see the USC team and scout the players in a live contest. But he's not going to be coaching them, obviously. But it is a chance for him to kind of get an early scouting and who are the players that he wants to keep on the USC squad. So it's all fair and level war. I'm going to run down the rankings for college football going into this night and also over the weekend. Number one, Georgia Bulldogs. They are 12-0. They are very dominant on defense. They're going to continue trying to be dominant. But I think Alabama has something up their sleeve. The great Nick Saban. Aflac, he's been getting some coached by a duck. It's all fair in level war. I'm still looking for Alabama to pull off that win. Who knows? May the best team win. It'd be hard to see someone out coaching Nick Saban. Number two, Michigan Wolverines. They are 11-1. They got their first win against Ohio State under Coach Jim Harbaugh. Michigan hadn't beaten the Buckeyes since 2011, and to get a 42-27 win, that was a big win for the Michigan Wolverines. Hassan Haskins also had a great night, 169 yards rushing. They're going to need him again in the game against Iowa. Number three, I think they're ranked too high in Cincinnati, so I'm going to put Alabama number 4. I'm going to put them at number 3. Alabama Crimson Tide, they're 11-1 on the season. They had a bad performance. You could say it a bad performance against their last rival when you think about Auburn. Alabama hadn't won at Auburn since 2015, but they won over the weekend, and it took them to overtime. I think they had 3 or 4 overtimes in that game. But what they had in that game was they had players kicked out for targeting. They also had some injuries, and I think they're healthier now. So I'm going to put Alabama at number 3. And when you think about it, Alabama's best receiver was knocked, I think it was Jamison Williams. He was knocked out of the game for targeting, so that helped also Auburn hang in there better. Also, Alabama was down 10-0 before they started scoring, and they had their best receiver out of the game. And then everything changed with about 1:35 in regulation. Quarterback Bryce Young, who I think would be the Heisman Trophy winner, he saved his team's season, and he drove the Alabama Crimson Tide 97 yards for the game-tying and a touchdown, and then also a 2-point conversion in overtime, and they were able to win that game. I think you'll see them have a much better offensive performance against Georgia. But Alabama has shown that they can also win a low-scoring game. That's something you got to keep your eye on. Can anyone out-coach Nick Saban? I'm going to say, even though I don't believe they're number 3 or number 4 in the country, some people have Cincinnati number 3. I'm going to put them number 4. They are 12-0. Quarterback Desmond Ridder threw for 301 yards in a 35-13 win over East Carolina, and that clinched the home field for the American Athletic Conference. But that's not the SEC, and their championship game against Houston's coming up over the weekend. Houston's ready to play this game. They would love nothing better than to knock them off, but I don't think that's going to happen. When you look at Ridder, he went over 12,000 total career yards, becoming the schools in the American Conference career record holder. I still look for them to get a win over Houston no matter what happens. I'm going to look at number 5, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They're 11-1. They survived a classic Bedlam thriller, maybe because Lincoln Riley was focused on the USC job. Just the third time in 116 games that both teams are ranked in the AP top 10, and they managed to get a win. Number 6, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They are 11-1. And now Kelly, he decided to go down to LSU. So he left Notre Dame with kind of it's just a bad look the way he did it. No one can complain that a man's looking to better his life, but he decided to leave. They had no trouble putting away Stanford, that's been banged up all season, it seems. Notre Dame has finished the season 11-1. They have no championship game to play for, but they're going to have to see if they can get invited to the Bowl Championship Series. I don't think they'll make it in, but it's all fair and level war. Number 7, Ole Miss, the Rebels, they're 10-2. Lane Kiffin has the Rebels. their first 10-win season in school history with a 31-21 win over Mississippi State. So congratulations to them. Number 8, the Baylor Bears finished 10-2. Took 2 turnovers, 10 points off of those turnovers, and a missed field goal at the buzzer. But Baylor survived a visit from Texas Tech by the skin of his teeth. And remember, Texas Tech is the team that beat Houston in the first part of the season. So congratulations to those good old boys, the Baylor Bears, making it to the Big 12 championship game. Number 9, the Michigan State Spartans. They finished 10-2. A week after being embarrassed in a lopsided loss to Ohio State, they showed a gutsy performance and beat Penn State. And Mo Tucker got a 10-year, $95 million extension. Going to finish out number 10, the Ohio State Buckeyes, number 10 on the season at 10-2. Looking like they were going to be in the bowl championship series, but they had no answers for Michigan in their dominant run game. They gave up 297 yards and 6 touchdowns, including 188 yards in the second half. And that's college football. So I'm going to conclude it there. When I come back, I'm going to talk about the NFL football and the big games coming up in Week 13 and the Big C predictions. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back on the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 18 podcast applications all over the universe. Now, as we get into it, are you ready for some football? Of course you are. NFL football style. We're going to run down the games going on this week. Number 1, last night, the Dallas Cowboys with a 27-17 win over New Orleans. The Cowboys go to 8-4, and New Orleans falls to 5-7. Taysom Hill has an injured finger. 4 interceptions for Taysom Hill. That hurt the New Orleans chances at having an upset win over the Dallas Cowboys. But Dak Prescott in that running game got things right again. So Dallas is they ended their 2-game losing streak against the Chiefs and also the Raiders, and now they're back in control of the NFC East. It's all fair in level war. What a packed house we had last night down in New Orleans. Now another game coming up for the weekend. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 8-3 at the Atlanta Falcons, 5-6. With the Antonio Brown, the COVID issue, I know he's been suspended 3 games. Obviously, it's just a foolish thing to do. But he who is without sin cast the first stone, especially all the people that are criticizing Antonio Brown for doing something stupid. He and Aaron Rodgers and a lot of other guys have done that too. And just hopefully people can learn from that, and he'll learn from that as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season goes on. And Tom Brady got suspended for Deflategate. Okay? Remember that? So quit saying that he's a perfect person and never makes mistakes. He was also suspended several years back when he played for the Patriots. But you move on. You move on, and I think that's what Tampa will do, is they will move on. That game was 1 o'clock p.m. East Coast time on Fox Sports. Tampa Bay's favored by 11 in this game. You got to watch for A.J. Terrell. Has a chance to take another step forward. The Falcons' second-year cornerback has been one of the best at his position, but he'll get tested in this league. You know, Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they are amazing receivers. They don't have Antonio Brown, but he's just going to have more rest for the playoffs. And then Tom Brady and company, they will do whatever it takes to win games. I look at Matt Ryan. 4 times, they picked him off twice. They sacked him 4 times last time and picked him off twice. You might see the same type of performance from Matt Ryan. That Tampa Bay defense is really legit. They got Rob Gronkowski back, had a season-high 123 receiving yards in the last game, which gives him 30 career games with at least 100-plus receiving yards. That's one shy of tying California's Anthony Gonzalez that played at Cal Berkeley for the most by a tight end in NFL history. So you know when you have that kind of performance on the offense, you're going to have a lot of success, and Tampa has that with Gronk, all fair and level. We're going to go with Tampa Bay getting that win, maybe 31-14 over the Atlanta Falcons. Another big game that I'm looking forward to, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, the Lightning Bolts. They're going across the country. They don't carry a run defense, though. The Chargers 6-5 at the Bengals 7-4. It's a 1 p.m. East Coast time kickoff on CBS Sports, and Cincinnati is favored by 3. This game is a matchup of 2 of the top young quarterbacks in the NFL. You have Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, Cincinnati and Los Angeles. Both guys can throw the ball deep downfield. I think the Chargers running back Austin Eckler will go for 200 yards from scrimmage when he has it running and also receiving. The Chargers, man, I know people don't believe in this, that they'll bounce back and beat the Bengals. I think they'll have a chance to win this game. They won last time they went on the road and won an East Coast game over Philadelphia. I think they have another one in them. Bengals running back Joe Mixon recorded multiple touchdowns and 4 straight games, the longest active streak in the NFL and longest in Bengals history, even over the great Ickey Woods from back in the day. So I'm going to go with the Chargers going across the road and getting a win. I'm going to say 34-28. I'm going to give that to the Chargers because touchdown Justin Herbert, and they're going to be forced to pass the ball to keep up with Cincinnati's, and Chase is going to have a good game too, but I look for Herbert to make the difference in that game as a mobile quarterback. The Arizona Cardinals, and they are 9-2 at the Chicago Bears. This segment sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meats? We all know the exotic meats. Last I checked, a bear and a cardinal are an exotic meat. I saw a kind of a picture of it was a cardinal resting in a nest, and below that nest down on the ground were 3 bears hanging around. Well, they won't have that this weekend. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports, and Arizona's favored by 7.5. What you want to watch for, can the Cardinals slow down the Bears' edge rusher and Robert Quinn? The best perhaps shot at Chicago for winning that game with the great Khalil Mack on the injured reserve. Quinn has been in the zone, and he's been doing a lot. Has 11 sacks right now in the NFL. It's all fair in love and war. That's a good team defensively. I don't know if they should start Kyler Murray. I really don't know. But it's looking like he's going to be the quarterback, and the receiver DeAndre Hopkins is back. Why have him play in the cold when I just don't think they need him? But they're back against the Bears. They're going to make their presence felt. They should have success as long as they stay healthy. Murray, 73% completion percentage, leads the NFL, and is on pace to become the 3rd highest rate in NFL history. It's my opinion, if he stays healthy in this game, they will do just fine. Chicago's failed to cover in 5 of his past 6 games, in each of the past 4 games against teams with winning records. They're also 0-3 against the spread as a home underdog. You got to look at this game, and I'm looking at the Cardinals. They can go on the road and win. They're a phenomenal football team, and I'm looking at the Cardinals winning this game in Chicago. Even if it's going to be cold, I go with 34-17 is what I'm looking at for the Arizona Cardinals. Might just be the best team in football when everybody's healthy. The New York Giants, the Knicks couldn't win against the Bulls, but the New York Giants, they have a chance, but not a big chance. They're 4-7 at the Miami Dolphins, 5-7. I'm going with the Dolphins. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. Miami's favored by 4. Now, Miami, the Dolphins ranked 2nd in the NFL in defensive expected points added during their current 4-game winning streak, forcing 10 turnovers as 3rd in the NFL. And I think they're going to get at least a turnover against Daniel Jones. Miami's going to pressure the Giants quarterback. It's going to be either Daniel Jones or Mike Glennon. And they're going to blitz, and they're going to blitz, and they're going to blitz. This is kind of a no-name defense. And the thing for the Dolphins, you have quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, completed at least 80% of his passes with at least 30 attempts in each of his past 2 games. The Dolphins are starting to play much better. That's tied for the longest streak in NFL history. Kyler Murray in 2021 and Drew Touchdown Brees in 2018, as well as Peyton Omaha Manning in 2013. Looking for the Dolphins to get that win. I think when you think about the Giants running back, Saquon Barkley got 81% of the running touches last weekend and was on the field for 86% of the plays. He has to run the ball well. But I'm saying Miami is 5-1 against the spread as a home favorite under Coach Brian Flores. And New York is 9-3 against the spread as a road underdog under Joe Judge. Dolphins 28, Giants 20. That's my pick, and I'm going with it. Got another game. We have the Indianapolis Colts. They're 6-6 at the Houston Texans, 2-9. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And Indianapolis is favored by 10. This is a team that stopped running the ball last week when they had a chance to beat Tampa Bay. And if they stop running the ball, they're going to have a hard time pulling out this win. But the Colts can run wild with running back Jonathan Taylor. They didn't feed him enough against Tampa Bay last week. But if they continue to do their dominance on the ground, a rushing touchdown on Sunday, Taylor would become the 5th player in NFL history with 10 straight games with a rushing touchdown in a season. And I think that good boy can do it again. The Texans have allowed 17 rushing touchdowns this season and are allowing about 136 yards on the ground. That's too much. Indianapolis receiver T.Y. Hilton will have his first 100-yard receiving game since December 2020. I think if you go run first, Carson Wentz has 21 touchdowns and 5 interceptions this season, the fourth best touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL. But you got to run the ball more if you want to keep winning. Don't worry about your stats offensively. Run the football. They'll have a chance to cover in this game. I'm going to go just something to keep in mind that Houston quarterback Tyrod Taylor is 9-2 against the spread in his past 11 games dating back to 2017, including playoffs. And he's 8-3-1 against the spread in his career when getting at least 6 points. So I'm going to go this game a little bit tighter than some people think. Indianapolis 28, going to go with the Texans 21. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. The Minnesota Vikings, they are 5-6 at the Detroit Lions that are 0-10-1. Or would that be 0-10-1, if that makes sense to you? It's a 1 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on CBS Sports. Minnesota's -7. That's a good team in Minnesota. They can win. Had the 49ers pressured last week, but they just couldn't convert on fourth downs, and the Niners got to win. Niners have a very solid defense, much better than what you have in Detroit. What to watch for? Detroit's defense will find a way to slow down Minnesota receiver Justin Jefferson, who was named NFC Offensive Player of the Month in November. Jefferson went off against Detroit in Week 5 matchup. He had 125 receiving yards on only 7 catches. Detroit has lost 8 straight games to Minnesota going back to 2017. It's not going to change in this one. Vikings receiver Adam Thielen has been a touchdown maker in 2 straight games. 10 total receiving touchdowns on the season, which is tied with Cooper Kupp and Mike Evans for the most in the NFL. Really looking forward to what's going on with that. Minnesota quarterback Kirk Cousins, you know, he's fair at times. He's been keeping them close in games, but he just couldn't get over the 49ers defense. I'm going to go with the Vikings winning this game, but Detroit keeps it close. Minnesota 28, Detroit 24. Okay, I might eat my words on that. It's all fair level where the Philadelphia Eagles, they're 5-7, should be 6-6. But they're 5-7 at the New York Jets that are 3-8. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And Philadelphia is favored by 7 points going on the road to hostile New York. And not just hostile in their fans, but hostile in their media too. It's all about the Eagles and how high they can fly with touchdown Jalen Hurts. He has a bum ankle, but it won't stop him. They have some stuff they can put in his ankle to make him not feel it. The Jets have allowed 96 rushing yards to quarterbacks, but they have not faced many dangerous runners. And Hurts' ankle might be hurting a little bit, but he's going to lead the running and pass game, of course. He leads the Eagles with 695 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. Isn't that something? That reminds me of Superman Lamar Jackson. The Eagles will return a Zach Wilson interception for a touchdown. It's just going to happen. Wilson's tied for 3rd in the NFL with 10 picks, and he's going to give up another one to the Eagles because the Eagles can fly high, because they take themselves lightly. It's all fair and level war. Just a nugget for you bettors out there. New York is one of 2 teams to not be favored in a single game this season. Detroit is the other, and they're 2-8 against the spread. That's the worst against the spread record in the NFL this season. Eagles 28, Jets 20. All fair and level war. A game that is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meats. You gotta say a Jaguar and a Ram are exotic meat. Hey, I'm not the one who eats them, but some people do. Jacksonville Jaguars, they are 2-9. At the Los Angeles Rams, that are 7-4. Would you believe at a time the Rams were 7-1? They've added some dynamic players to their roster. Von Miller, 8-time Pro Bowler. They also got Odell Beckham Jr. has a hamstring issue now. And they just have a solid team. But they haven't been winning. They brought in Matthew Stafford, who's kind of going down the same trend he was going down when he was in Detroit. When they win, they say, Stafford, what a great quarterback. If they lose, then what do they say? They got to beat the Jaguars. It's a beautiful SoFi Stadium, a 4:05 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. And the Rams are favored by 13, which is an awful lot to give a team that was blown up by San Francisco. They were also blown out, I won't say blown up by Green Bay, but they gave up, Stafford, I think, has been a pick 6 in 3 games in a row. Jacksonville, just no match for them, but 13's a lot. I'm going to say maybe they'll cover because they're desperate, but 13's a lot, especially for a team that's lost 3 in a row. Super Bowl hopeful Rams fans entering on Sunday's game. 3-game losing streak, only for the second time in the Sean McVay era in 5 seasons. Watch for the Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford's been committing 6 turnovers in the 3-game skid. You can't have that. Maybe they got to run the ball more. I think the Rams, led by defensive tackle Aaron Donald and edge rusher Leonard Floyd, they're going to sack Trevor Lawrence a couple of times, maybe at least 5 sacks on the day. Jacksonville center Brandon Linder and left guard Andrew Noel rank 8th and 17th respectively in pass blocking. I think the Rams will get on track. They got to do it. It's just about time that you prove that all the money you spent for these great players is worth it. Now, for you bettors out there, Jacksonville is 2-0 against the spread as a double-digit underdog. That's why I think that 13 points is a lot. Without an outright win over Buffalo, I think there was a 15.5-point underdog in that game. And it's also 3-1 against the spread when getting at least 7 points. Get them 13 points. I think the Rams will cover, though, because it's about time they have a breakout win. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams 35, Jacksonville Jaguars 15. 15? Why not? They'll cover 35-15, just my opinion. Now, there's another game down in the Valley of the Desert called the Las Vegas Raiders. Washington football team. They are starting to play better under Rivera. They are 5-6 on the season. They're at the Las Vegas Raiders that are 6-5 on the season. It's a 4:05 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. Now, Los Angeles, they're a 2.5-point favorite, and it makes you wonder. This is the same team in the Las Vegas Raiders that benefited from 14 penalties against Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. That's a lot. So I thought there was some Las Vegas, as Brent Musburger said, jackpot, baby. There was some stuff going on in that game. The over-under is 49. You got to keep an eye on Raiders quarterback touchdown Derek Carr and Washington defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio, because when Jack Del Rio was the quarterback, I actually was the head coach of the Raiders in Oakland, he took the Raiders to the playoffs, their last playoff game, and they lost to Indianapolis. I think that's when Carr had broken his leg. But two were thick as thin, as thick and thin can be back in Oakland. That was, I think, the 2015 season to 2017. But it's all fair and level war. They're going to have a reunion this time. And I think a prediction, Washington was going to run for about 140 yards in this game. Raiders don't have a stout run defense. And Washington has some injury concerns also. There'll be a lot of questions entering this game, assuming some of those questions are not answered. I think Antonio Gibson's going to have about 100 yards on the ground and a touchdown. And this is just a great team. I won't say a great team, but Washington's improving. Now, for the betting nuggets, Washington is 1-5 against the spread against teams with winning records this season. But it has covered 3 straight games after starting 1-7 against the spread. Think about that. It's hard to have a lot of faith in what the Raiders have done because there's no way they should have won the game against Dallas. I know they're coming back home. I think Derek Carr will have a good game, but also Jack Del Rio knows that Raider team and his quarterback that he's going to be going against. I'm going to just say that Vegas wins this game just because they're the home team and they're coming off of a feel-good game against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to go with the Raiders 28, Washington 25, and that's what I'm sticking with. 28-25, yeah, 28-25, all fair and level war. There's gold in them there hills. The San Francisco 49ers travel up north to SeaTac Airport. Going to play at Lumen Field, and they're going to take a 6-5 record at the Seattle Seahawks that are 3-8. It's a 4:25 p.m. East Coast time kickoff on CBS Sports. This game, they actually moved the time around. It's going to be a 4:25 kickoff this time, but it was going to start earlier. They had moved the schedule to the NFL. The 49ers are a 3.5-point favorite, and these two teams have always played good football against each other. They know each other from way back in the day. I remember going to a game at the Kingdom, and the 49ers were up there for a preseason game. It was Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and I remember when they was a hard-fought game back then. But watch for quarterback Ken Russell Wilson and the bad finger in Seattle's offense snap out of their slump. That group has scored only 26 points during the 3-game losing streak that began when Wilson returned from finger surgery. He's trying to give everybody the finger, if that makes sense to him. So they got to figure that out. The 49ers have an edge rusher, Nick Bosa, who has 11 sacks in 11 games. He's going to be after Russell Houdini Wilson all game. I'm going to make a bold prediction, And any game involving Seattle is hard because nothing seems out of reach, especially when they play the 49ers. I'm going to say that Niners will run the ball and have at least one possession of 18 plays against the Seattle's run defense. They will have the edge in time of possession, the same way they did against Minnesota, and the same way they did against the Rams. Seattle has the worst time of possession margin in the league by almost 12 minutes. The Niners got to run the football. Niners running back Elijah Mitchell has 4 games with at least 100 yards or more rushing this season, the most by a rookie in 49er history. Last rookie to be drafted in the 6th round or later with 5 such games was Alfred Morris in 2012. I think the 49ers run their way to a win up in Seattle. It's for the betting nuggets, for people who like to bet. San Francisco quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, he's 9-0 outright and 6-3 against the spread as a road favorite in his career. 3-1 against the spread this season. Run the football. Niners bang, bang, 9 a game. 49ers 31. Seattle Seahawks 20, if it's that close. The Ravens 8-3 at the Pittsburgh Steelers 5-1. 4:25 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And Baltimore's favorite by 4.5 points. You got to watch Superman Lamar Jackson. Has just 2 starts against the Steelers, but he struggled in each of those starts. He's not going to struggle in this game. I just feel that they're about to have a breakout game. They had a bad game against Cleveland, but they won. Now, Baltimore's running back, Devonta Freeman, he should get over 100 yards rushing for the first time in many, many moons. He's cracked 100 yards, hasn't cracked that since December 2017. I think this team is ready. What I look at also is when I look at the Steelers, quarterback Big Ben Roethlisberger has at least 1 passing touchdown in 25 straight games. That's 1 shy of matching his second longest streak of his career, 26 straight from 2017, 2018. Betting nuggets. Each of Baltimore's past 4 road games have gone under the total. Think about that. They've gone under the total. The total here is 44. I think Baltimore wins this game. The Steelers just can't move the ball. Baltimore 24, Steelers 14. I feel bad for Big Ben, but it's just not happening for him right now. The Denver Broncos 6-5 at the Kansas City Chiefs 7-4. It's an 8:20 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on NBC Sports. And Kansas City is favored by 10. That got to make you wonder. The Broncos have a pretty solid defense, and they've been playing good football lately. So the Chiefs have beaten the Broncos 11 straight times, so they're going to win the game. And the final margin hasn't even been close, but 3 of those past 4 were decided by at least 20 points. It seems a fast start by the Broncos is important. They got to do that. The Broncos, touchdown Teddy Bridgewater, has to have a good passing game, at least 250 yards. Maybe he will get that. But a stat to know, the Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes had 48 touchdown passes and 19 career primetime starts. That's impressive. And 19 career primetime starts. He has a 78% career total QBR in division games. That's the highest by any quarterback since 2006. For you betting guys, 9 of Denver's 11 games have gone under the total this season. Kansas City is going to win this game. The over-under is 47.5. Why do they need a half? Kansas City might get 35 of that on their own. I'm going to go Kansas City 35, Denver 21. It's going to be a win by Kansas City. Now, the final game from Monday Night Football, you're going to hear the NFL doing something on non-fungible tokens, NFTs. Big C Sports is going to be a part of that too. The Patriots 8-4 at the Buffalo Bills 7-4. It's a Monday 8:15 p.m. kickoff Eastern time on ESPN. Buffalo's favored by 2.5. While you got to pay attention, cornerback Tre'Davious White will be big for the Bills defense. Josh Allen will also be big for the Bills offense. New England will be a tough task, especially considering the defense forced a league-high 20 turnovers since week 5. They're going to get 2 more turnovers in this game. There's a lot of people that doubt Bill Belichick. I don't know how you can doubt him. The Patriots kicker Nick Folks leads the NFL with 31 field goals on 34 attempts. He's made 50 straight attempts within 50 yards, stretching back to last season. It's a tough team to pick against. And I don't know how anyone would pick against New England. A betting nugget. Buffalo has covered each of his last 5 games of the month in December or later and is 4-0-1 against the spread and his past 5 games against the AFC East opponent. But they're going up against Bill Belichick. Touchdown Stephon Diggs has to get his chest in the win. Can a rookie quarterback go in and outplay the Buffalo Bills in their home stadium? Bills Mafia. I think the defense for New England will get a turnover and win this game. They're going to watch what happened Josh Allen against Baltimore and also against Jacksonville and Bill Belichick's not going to be outcoached. I'm going to give the Patriots, remember, it may come down to a field goal, but Patriots 27, Buffalo 24, and I'm going to give them the win. It's all fair and level war. That's Big C's picks for your NFL football. I know you're all ready for the football. Give it all some praise. Give it all praise, praise, praise. Looking forward to a great football weekend from high school, college, and pro. It's all fair and level war. I'm going to end with tonight's NBA basketball is fantastic. Golden State at home. They are 18-3, taking on the Phoenix Suns that are 19-3, and look for Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors to snap the Phoenix Suns winning streak. They're scheduled tonight. Miami already underway at Indiana, Cleveland at Washington, Philadelphia at Atlanta, Minnesota's at Brooklyn, Orleans. Look at those good old boys. Orlando's at Houston. Game's already underway. New Orleans at Dallas. The Pelicans at the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not going to go the horse and the Pelican for exotic beach, but you know how it is down south. Boston at Utah up in the Wasatch Mountains. Phoenix at Golden State. That's going to be on ESPN. And the LA Clippers at the LA Lakers in an all LA love affair down there at the, I think it's called Crypto.com Arena now. So we'll see what happens with those good old boys. But Phoenix Suns, Golden State, that's the game tonight. I'm going to go with Golden State winning that game. Phoenix is 19-3. Golden State's 18-3. They face off for the second time this week at the beautiful Chase Center in downtown San Francisco. Kickoff at 8 p.m. Miss Standard Time. Can be seen on ESPN. It's all fair and level war. I hope everybody has fun tonight. Stay safe for your high school footballers. Everyone have fun over the weekend watching football games. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown, known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. He would say, with all you got to use, how can you lose? I would say, I'm pretty, I can't possibly be beat with all these Big C burgers. They make me light on my feet. That's why I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. I'm always rumbling, young man, rumbling. My beautiful mother always says there's never an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you. We appreciate you. We hope that you have a super fantastic day.